Hello, my name is Tracey McBeath and I am a health coach in Melbourne, Australia. I am also the creator of the Low Carb Lifestyle Long Weekend and the founder of the Low Carb Melbourne Facebook community group. So my purpose in this video is just to demystify a little bit around what is LCHF. It's a term you've probably heard being bandied around, but it's a very simple term and I just really wanted to explain it to you today. So LCHF is short for low carb healthy fat, and essentially all it is eating a whole unprocessed food diet predominantly. So it's lots of animal proteins, lots of fresh green in-season vegetables, lots of nourishing healthy fats that come directly from an animal or a plant. So here I'm talking about butter, ghee, lard, tallow, olive oil, coconut oil. So actual oils and fats that come directly from an animal or that plant source that are really nourishing for our body and for our brain, and essential actually for our bodies and brains, as opposed to something like a seed oil or a vegetable oil, which funnily enough isn't made from a vegetable but is a toxic byproduct of something called cottonseed oil, and is highly industrialized, highly processed, and it's highly inflammatory and damaging to our body over a long period of time. Now the issue is those oils have been skyrocketed in our diet. They are in pretty much any processed packaged food you will buy and any takeaway food that you purchase, and that's been since the last 30 years. It's taken off. Before that, it was animal fats that we used to cook in predominantly, and of course they have been demonized. There is no science behind that. There is no reason to avoid those beautiful saturated animal fats. In fact, the evidence supports the fact that they are healthy and necessary as part of a healthy diet. So processed foods such as sugar, anything in a packet, pasta, rice and bread are not considered real food because of their highly processed nature and because of the negative effects these foods can have on our health and our weight over time. They are highly inflammatory. They are converted to sugar in the body, which means over time our hormone insulin, which its job is to get the blood sugar out of our blood and into our cells, it stops working, and thus we get a condition that has been known as insulin resistance and is known to be the precursor of all chronic diseases we have today. So the other issue with these foods is they replace the nutrient-dense foods of all those foods I talked about. So eggs and meats and full-fat dairy, which are nutrient-rich. These foods like breads, pasta, rices, processed foods are very nutrient poor. Yet if we fill up on those, we're displacing the chance of eating nutrient-dense foods. So that is the other huge issue with eating a whole lot of processed foods. So some other foods you might hear banding around under the low carb healthy fat banner are keto, ketogenic, maybe paleo. They just not necessarily low carb, but it's more real food. Banting, Lchf, just real food. It doesn't really matter about the labels. We don't have to let that get in the way. All LCHF is eating real food. It's optimizing our health. It's helping to either reverse oxidative damage and stress within the body, and prevent chronic diseases. So it is really, really important. It's not a fad. It has been around, and it's how we've basically eaten since we evolved as human beings. The fad is in the last 50 years, which is the high carb, low fat diet that most of us have been put on. So that is low carb healthy fat. Please contact me at traceymcbeath.com.au if you have any further questions. But I highly recommend that you join us in the summit that's coming up on the 28th, 29th and 30th of May. And you'll walk away from that with a whole lot of knowledge around how and why eating this way is the most optimal way to eat for your health.